safeties. We're also thankful for first responders that keep us safe in this county, and we pray you would watch over them. Also, we're thankful for everything you've given to us, and we pray that we would reciprocate it back to our constituents and those in the area. So add to this prayer, we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll come to the October 6th, no, October, what is today? 20th meeting.
October 20th, Lisa tried to accuse me of being at the 6th meeting, and I said, no.
You have the notes from this meeting of the 6th. Were sent to you. Any changes or modifications?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second that motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. We had a payroll of $294,273.49, claims of $2,279,473.17. I get a motion to approve those.
Make a motion with financials.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Mr. Holliday, Sheriff Holliday. Sir.
Easy on the sir. I'll be real brief. Jail numbers, 60 total today. 28 are pretrial circuit, 20 pretrial superior, 9 DOC, and 0 F6. The only update I have for you on the kitchen project, we should be wrapping up this week. So they've been really, really good to work with, right on time. Tiling just got done today on the floors for all the patchwork, and Superior will be back in tomorrow to do the final plumbing and hooking up sinks and getting those things back in. So hopefully a couple days of that, and then we can get back to doing meals in the kitchen.
We do need to make sure we budget unknown because that plumbing was so bad.
You showed me
Yeah,
pictures then.
I saw Blake today and showed the pictures of it, so,
There is gonna be additional repairs at some point, so need to have a fund ready to go.
yeah.
Maybe even a master plan. I have a plan where it goes around the
Yeah.
outside perimeter. We should look at that at some point.
Solis O'Brien, when we had them come the first time, did that, kind of a master plan for, at least for the jail cell portions. So that might be something to explore, here in the future, but this will definitely create, a better environment for the drainage throughout the kitchen. It's all replaced with the PVC now. There's no cast iron there, except for what is existing in the walls, but, that should be all good, but, yeah, hopefully the next day or two, we should be buttoning up things and moving things back in and getting back to normal in the kitchen. It's been a while, so.
Good deal.
Other than
Great.
that, I don't have anything else.
Thanks.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Witt.
First item I brought with us this evening, I put together a policy for those who need to hold a commercial driver's license. Most of our equipment, truck-wise, requires a CDL to drive. We had an interesting concern that almost occurred. An individual come in before I started. He was brought in, at a pay rate that may or may not have been commensurate holding a CDL compared to what we had on file. And there was nothing that we have that would have allowed me to do anything with that, from a corrective action standpoint. So I kind of dug back into the archives from where I came from and, worked with Ted, and he helped me rewrite our CDL policy. One of the main pieces of this will be under the summary. If an employee is demoted, hired, promoted, or transferred in a position requiring a CDL, he, she will have 180 calendar days from the start of their new position to obtain a CDL. The individual in question came in without pre-tried to get it. So that was kind of a concern when we went for number 3. It's like, well, now what do we do? The main reasoning CDLs are important is these are for folks who, in the wintertime, will be taking care of flying our roads. So having enough folks who are qualified to do that is kind of important. So that's why I kind of put this into place. For the most part, our equipment is automatic, so they only need to have a CDL-B, but we do have some equipment that is manual transmission, so that will require a CDL-A. They can go obtain an A, that's fine, but a minimum B will be what's required.
Do we need more candidates? Do we need to offer well, we do offer a CDL program through EDC if we want to get people through that.
So at NDOT, it's not just operations who plows, it is other people without outside of operations. They bring construction, they bring in CPM, so I thought about this a little bit. I'm not sure if there's something out there we could offer county employees if they wanted to go get it, to have additional crews. I don't wanna say we'll ever have another COVID pandemic, but that did put us in a really bad position of trying to keep enough staff to plow at the state, where we actually lost whole units. So you'd be down 15 people rather quickly. So that is an option too. But in that case, they'd be considered, I did leave that in here. Regarding volunteers, so they could fall into that volunteer section. Don't necessarily have to have it, don't need it for their job, but they would be someone who could assist us in the time of need.
We're getting less and less of the youth that want to get into any kind of trade, but part of it's because we don't offer it either. If we offered it, it might give you a bigger pool to pull from when you have hires or whatever, just something to think about. Maybe get with Jessica Bess and,
I'd be interested to talk to the 3 school corporations here in the county. When I had Peru unit, Peru school over there does offer CDL to high schoolers.
that's what we're doing. So there she is right there. We're gonna offer CDL through the high schools. And actually, she's gonna talk to you about maybe using the yard for the place to train. But,
We can make that happen.
yeah, but then you would have a pool of people to pull from that are from the community that have the CDL. So let's just make sure this matches what she's got in her training.
I can do that.
I just wanted to point out, based upon something Matt had said, that the policy allows, the policy calls for the county to pay for 1 CDL test. So if an employee needs to take multiple CDL tests, then that 2 and 3, or however many he needs to, would be on the employee then, and not necessarily the county, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I like it. So do you need a motion to accept this, or you're just showing us this what's in it?
I would suggest, since it's going to be a policy of the highway department, that the highway department being subject to oversight and supervision by the commissioners, you should approve this for purposes of the highway superintendent.
I'll make a motion to approve this policy and its immediate implementation.
I just, as long as maybe coordination, what Jessica's working on, that we don't reinvent something, or, I like the whole premise of what we're doing.
Jessica's just working on the training portion of it. This would be the policy. That's just an avenue to get some of the
Okay.
training, if it works out. I mean, we don't want to displace the youth through our CDL thing, but it might be a good recruiting tool. So I have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
The next item I have is an agreement with Cintas to become our current vendor for rental clothing and everyday household supplies. Paper towels, toilet paper, soap, expired back in May. And this agreement is with Cintas, a different corporation, to come in and become that next vendor. One of the reasons behind this is variance. They gave us a couple of different options with that, so the guys had a little bit more to choose from. We currently have 20,000 in the budget, and this one brings us in under 15 a year. It is a 24 months, so it's only 2 years. The agreement is one that is based on what they have currently with the Indiana Department of Administration, and they shortened it from their 5-year duration to more of a 2-year.
Ted, have you read that section 9 about termination?
I have. I was going to point that out. I first wanted to commend our highway supervisor for getting it reduced. Uniform companies are notorious in not reducing anything from a 5-year, so he's been able to accomplish something that most people can't. This contains a couple unique provisions. There are some, in addition to clothing, there are some facility services listed in the schedule. I don't recall if that was going to be utilized, but those facility services are in this contract as well, mats, things like that.
Yes, well, we're currently doing that now with the company that's been on a month-to-month basis since May.
Yep.
So it's no different than what we've been doing.
So mats and things like that.
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out because we have been talking more in terms of uniforms. In regard to the termination provision, it does say, and it is a little bit unusual for contracts that we have, there's no immediate cancellation for convenience. There is a provision in there that if we cancel within the first year, there's a damage assessment that the company can collect, and it's shortened in year 2. But that's just something for you to consider as part of whether you would approve the contract. Again, normally when you'd put this into the context of a 5-year contract, that damage provision would not necessarily be so pervasive. But essentially, we've got a 2-year contract. It just says if we terminate early, we're going to owe them some damages.
Basically says if you terminate it, you pay out what's left in the contract. Pretty close?
Pretty close, yeah.
Is there any evergreen clause in this one?
No. It's going to continue and roll over on a month-to-month basis, but I did not see that it automatically renewed for additional 2-year periods.
Yeah, I'd like to see a clause in there that actually states that there has to be a new contract at the end of this contract.
I think that what we could do is at the end of the 2 years, rather than trying to put that contract, that termination provision in there, it calls for a 2-year termination, so it would then terminate at the end of 2 years. We had a prior agreement for 5 years, as I understand it, with the prior vendor that's been going on for 6-7 years, and so we've just been paying them on a monthly basis on the same schedule prior to this. So I think at the end of 2 years, we could go back and just make a note that we have to renegotiate and get a new contract in place.
The last one is, and this is in all their contracts, is this one about the merchandise has to be returned at our cost. I'd like to see that negotiated up front, because those end up that they come in and send people in, get lockers and whatever, and they get to determine what that cost is upon the day of pulling it out. I'd rather have that line itemed out of, here's how much it costs once it's done for us to come pick up all our stuff. It's agreed upon on the front side instead of the back side. It's the very last paragraph in that.
I'll take that back to you.
I hate to say it, but uniform contracts are pretty sticky.
Yeah, they are. Why don't Matt and I go back and try to clarify those 2 terms? We'll see if we can't get a finite termination provision in there, and then we'll bring it back for approval. Or do you need this executed?
The only other one, I haven't had time to read all the way through it, but who determines when garments need to be replaced? If you leave it up to the uniform company, they're any fray or whatever, it might not be wore out, they just might be worn. So I think that needs to be up to you guys to determine on replacement, not them. Otherwise, everybody will have brand new stuff all the time, which isn't bad, but if it's not worn out, we shouldn't just have replacement upon their terms.
And the last thing I have this evening, this is from Indiana Department of Transportation, Protective Clothing and Footwear Program Guidelines. It kind of goes along the lines, and I will point you toward Section 512A5, Protective Clothing for the most part, it follows everything in the class 3 outerwear in that first bullet point. Has to meet that ANSI standard. Makes life a little bit easier, just kind of puts it straight to what it has to be. And it can be sweatshirts, t-shirts. I don't care if it's a zip-up hoodie, pullover hoodie, quarter zip hoodie, it just has to meet that ANSI spec. The second bullet point is more for your Carhartt type or burn apparel. Heavier apparel in a standard color and not some printed camouflage fabric. That is some things that I've looked through, and it doesn't have to be a problem finding that type of apparel. It's readily available. But also when they come in with receipts, something that I did, and that'll be the bullet point below that for footwear standards. One of the things that went along with the receipt was I would take my boot off, copy it on the copier, and get that inside tag, and that went with my receipt and the form that you fill out saying you want reimbursed, and then there was no question that it met or did not meet.
Some of the history here is we have a uniform, I'll put in quotations, uniform policy that covers, is it $250?
I think it's different for every department. I'm not sure what the,
The value may be different, but we're getting receipts that are just regular wear. They're not really uniform. So what we're trying to do is put a standard in place that what do we identify as a uniform? Who can supply it, and then where can you buy it? Because we're getting things that, just to be honest, are not uniforms. So we're just trying to tighten that up so that you get what you measure. Let's identify exactly what it is, measure against what the standard is, and that's what you can get reimbursed for instead of open. And we put this across all departments, not just the county road. We do this, we need to talk to the sheriff and make sure each department has a standard, identify what's in that standard, then only pay to what's in the standard. So this is a good base to start it off. I think we should have one policy and then maybe break it out, like the uniforms for the sheriff would be different than the uniforms requirements for the county road, and then determine who actually needs quote uniforms. Because I think we're finding that all sorts of things fall into the uniform category, and it's the public's money. We need to spend it on what's needed.
Right.
We also have identified one vendor who would be willing to work with us to directly reimburse clothing. We have some folks out there who still have a full $250 they've not spent this year. And I do understand sometimes it's kind of hard to find that, depending on where you're at on the ladder of life. So that way, they can get their clothing, they meet the standards, they're safe out on the road, and we've done the right thing by that employee by giving them that option.
We'll keep them safe.
And this is based
Have you
on
seen
calendar
who
year,
they
correct?
use?
Or is it the employment date year?
Calendar year.
Calendar.
With the budget.
Okay.
How have we done it in the past?
they
In-
submit their receipts and then we issue them a check.
Sure, I apologize. Commissioner Gerber asked if this was a calendar year, January to January, or if this was a anniversary year for each employee.
It's a calendar year.
Okay. That's all I need.
I like the idea of identifying vendors, approved vendors too, and do direct billing. Easier than chasing receipts, correct?
I would suggest our next stop, and I appreciate Matt getting this. I think he distributed it last week to us, so I haven't really had a chance to dive in. But I do think the next step would be to talk to the sheriff's department to see what he needs for both his officers and then his confinement officers and how they can be implemented. Because some of the, as you mentioned, some of the standards are great for a highway department, but they may not work for a sheriff's department, so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
For the commissioners, I think the discussion needs to be, do we all agree that we need some kind of policy? This might not be the final one, but move in that direction and then go to each department head and say, who needs uniforms? Identify those people, and then what's that standard? You can't just say, yep, we need uniforms and leave it wide open. Identify your standard and then we'll pay to that standard. You guys agree?
Great starting point.
Last item, Friday, if you noticed, you might have seen all of our trucks out and about, along with a couple of our road graders. We went out and ran the routes as designed, and we're seeing a level of service to run each route between 5.5 and 6 hours. That was on a good day, in perfect weather, in the sunshine, but we know that that can vary. So we're gonna start working through any of the feedback we got from the team to modify those routes any way possible, but get us to a level of service that we can make, if we have to, 2 rounds in a 12-hour period, and be able to convey that to like school corporations, get that out there on Facebook, that kind of thing, so folks know when a storm comes through, we're out and about, and this is what times we think it's gonna take us to do it.
Fantastic.
We have a number of right-of-ways that we have been approving during the highway supervisor discussion. We have 8 today. All are unsigned. If you would approve, I would ask for a motion indicating that you approve contingent upon the APC and the Recorder's Office obtaining signatures from the landowners. We have rights-of-way for Ish property at 400 South, Ringer at 100 North, Leakey at 700 East, Pfister at 100 South, Mitchell at 200 West, the Davis Trust at 500 West and Jeff Road, the Rogers Trust at 300 South, and Leakey at 700 East. These are all being voluntarily granted by our citizens in order to allow the Highway Department, the county engineer, and the county to provide safe means of travel and to pave our roads. And so from my standpoint, I appreciate these citizens in doing so and allowing us to get these rights of way.
Motion to approve all of those.
Contingent upon, of course, signatures from the landowners.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you.
What about the distribution truck? I see that as noted on your list here.
My apologies. That was advertised for the first time on Thursday last week, and will be advertised for the second time this Thursday. And then we have a week to get any bids in, and then we will open them, I believe, on the 3rd. So it should be in by the 30th.
Good deal.
We're on the right track.
Good.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Mr. Whitaker.
First up, one loan utility permit. This is Pierce Services on behalf of Frontier, and this is just a single service drop on a loan report. Recommend for signature.
Make a motion to allow that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Right. The next document for signature is a financial commitment letter for Community Crossings grant application. This is the one that I had originally desired to go for last year, but it didn't work out with some right-of-way hangups. This is replacing the structural below street on River Road. So you guys should have a copy of the financial commitment letter in front of you, and I'm recommending that for signature as well.
I will make a motion to allow that to go forward.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have the application all in order as of late last week. So this is the last document that I need to upload and just double check the application before submitting. Update on Bridge 54, we held a pre-construction meeting today out at the highway office. This is County funding available right now. You can ask once you reach construction award, and we can reevaluate, see if there's any, opportunity for NDOT to help you out on the shortfall then. So we asked after it was awarded, and we were told there were no additional funds. So it's a pretty big hit to the Cume Bridge fund.
What is the total?
Our match, 1.4.
1.4?
Is that the corner? That 54 is right off that intersection?
At 900.
Yeah,
600.
900.
Yep.
Yep, gotcha. Walked that many times.
So, in saying that, it just draws down Cume Bridge funds quite a bit, but we do have enough to make it through at this time, so.
Does that change the total that, when we had met last time, talking about the totals going forward? This, we had talked about this, right?
This was expected. My only hope was that maybe NDOT would help participate in the delta between original and what was actually awarded. The answer was no.
So it doesn't change what we presented to the council for budgeting, as long as they approve that budget.
It
We're-
is not. So that was actually, it was budgeted for this year, 54 was, so what we actually budgeted for next year does not have
An
anything
effect
to do
on
with
this,
this. So, in saying that, I will mention this because it ties into my next bullet point with Bridge 71. So Bridge 71 is in the November NDOT letting, so we've got another one coming. It's a smaller project, not nearly as big as 54. That's on 200 West over Rock Creek between 4 and 500 South. But in saying that, I do have additional appropriations that were made. Those will be on the November council agenda, so those have already been submitted. But more or less what happened was I had to, for the 25 budget, when I came in 24 in June, I was working on the budget, and at that point in time, I did not fully understand how far that budget had inflated on Bridge 54. So when I budgeted the match amount for 25 in June of 24, it was not enough. So my appropriations at council's next meeting next month will be to address that. So just a heads up, there are large appropriations being made to cover those additional expenses. But as I said, the funds are there. It's just drawing it down more than I would like to see.
It's gonna become an issue with the new budget anyway. So, yeah. Luckily, we've done quite a few bridges over the past decade.
We've
Take care of
we've
that.
done quite a bit of improvements, so.
Is this impacted at all by the prior road vacation around the Rock Creek area?
This is
Okay,
this is not, no.
okay.
So I had mentioned it to Blake in a discussion that we had a few weeks back, that we may need to give some serious thought to looking at our Cume Bridge amount, and kind of depending on how budget stuff shakes out over the next year, we may need to look at that as increasing
Something
that funding.
next spring to consider if we want to stay on the same trajectory, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
If not, we'll just have to scale back if the funds and the inflation takes its toll.
So, I guess, to be forthcoming, what I have done to try to mitigate this is, with all of the overages on all these projects that were set in motion before I got here, I have decided to be less aggressive in federal applications. I applied for Bridge 72 last year, and we were awarded that. That will be built in 2030. I had plans to apply for another bridge this year, but with the budget of County Road 200 South and what that looks like, and then with this Bridge 54 being so far over budget, I want to make sure that we're in a decent
I'm okay with it being somewhat based off the budget, but, and I'm sure you're the same way, but safety has got to be the number one priority. If there's something that we don't even have budgeted, we have to figure out a way to make our roadways safe and bridges.
And there are still plenty of things that need addressed from an ongoing, preventative maintenance aspect that is more in our normal annual budget. that We can start taking a look at as well, so.
Just saying, if there's unforeseen things that you come across that says we need it, just make sure, and I'm sure you will, but just bring them before us. We'll figure out a way to move money around to make sure that the roadways and all that are passable.
Next project update, the first two pictures here. The County Road 500 West realignment that's been going on over by Rock Creek Stone Quarry. That has been completed as of last week, and we had Clink come in and sheet that with Dust Day, just to kind of lock that aggregate in place over the winter. As they were nearing completion, the contractor called me and said that he came in one morning to finish doing some grade work and rolling some stone, and noticed that some ATVs had been in there overnight doing donuts out on the road and stuff, which is going to be extremely hard to prevent them. But the way this Dust Day kind of puts a sticky tack coat on it and locks the ag together, that was part of the reason that I wanted to have that done this fall, in hopes to kind of deter that. I mean, it's not as fun to do donuts on something that doesn't easily displace, so hopefully that'll help deter some of that. And it also will, it'll make it ready for us to chip seal as soon as we get around to it next year. So this will sit like this over the winter, and then when we start our chip seal program next year, we can get to this.
Is it barriered off though, so that they can't
That was
run
my,
that road?
that was my question. I thought we have,
So Friday, it was just shot, and they had some cones out there, to kind of block it off, but I talked with Chris from the sign department today and asked him tomorrow to go out there and place for the closed signs and barricades. So we'll do what we can to deter it, but it's also, I mean, it's relatively approachable, it's very gradual, open ditch lines, anybody can drive any piece of equipment.
right.
Let us know if you need some concrete barriers. I don't want that thing damaged over the winter just because
That's
there's a mixed
something-
view on that road to begin with. Last thing we need is some major damage on it.
I may actually bring that up to Chase. Chase has been really great through all this.
I think they got some big boulders around there too.
Yeah, I may ask him if he can set some stone to deter that, or even concrete barrier.
Until it becomes a public road, I think we should keep it barriered off.
At least some signage.
On the next sheet, just an update on Bridge 65 down on Jeff Road. So they paved last week, all grade work's done. We're basically just waiting on guardrail and for them to come in and sod. So, this picture was taken this morning, so it's a little bit dirty from all the traffic,
Hey, 300 West and 224 with the new signage going up. Can we put some extra signs on 300 West, the piece that we own? Just to let people know that that's gonna be a four-way stop?
Yeah, I'll talk to Chris about that tomorrow.
I was hoping that they would consider a roundabout or something, but I did see that they said October 27th, I think the new signs are gonna go on. And I'm not so worried about the one coming east to west, but going west to east on that blind corner. I just wanna make sure, I don't know how we get the state, put up extra signs. I did see they have rumble strips down, but
So I would guess that it's going to very closely mimic the intersection at Norwell High School.
that one was a straight, you could kind of see the flashing lights. This one, you're gonna come around the corner and then have, I hope they have flashing lights on the stop signs. Something to notice, because I can see that one getting blown left and right.
I have an email from NDOT traffic with kind of a proposed plan and layout of what the pavement markings, the signs, and like rumble strips were gonna look like, so I can review that and see what they have.
What I worry about is that right now, if you're coming down either way on 300, you know you have to stop. Hopefully, everybody stops anyway. But if they assume that everybody knows that there's stop signs on 224, you stop, ease out, and an 18-wheeler smacks you, you're done. So I just want to make sure that extra signs, more caution. That's just a bad corner right there to begin with. I don't think that's the solution either. It scares me.
We voiced our concerns and
I was say, we did all we could do.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dave.
Says on here Quentin Greer.
That's all right, I can pick it up.
Okay.
So we sat down and met with our board for the opioid committee. And essentially what we did is we used that first meeting to organize. We went ahead and appointed Steve Pastore as our chair and leave him in that leadership position. We're right now setting criteria or establishing criteria based on what the state has asked us to run by. So it'll be very similar to that. Then we're also looking at the first quarter of 26 to begin accepting our requests.
So will that be the committee will come to the commission with a list of who they want to give the grants out, or does the board let the grants go?
Yeah, essentially what's gonna happen is, they're gonna come, bring the request to us, and then we're gonna assign a period to that for review. And then the board is going to make a decision or set sort of strategy, and then come in here and ask for commissioners' approval on the list of, places they want to distribute those funds.
So the board's recommendation will come to us.
Correct. So that's the way we've established it. So we'll bring a recommendation in here, present that, and then it's going to be up to the Board of Commissioners to decide if those funds will be released to that organization or not.
Then will we have here's what you say you're going to do criteria and some kind of check
Yes,
off?
and
to make sure
also
they use it?
accountability for that. So if someone comes in and says, we're going to use these funds for X, then they have to prove that, come back in, and whatever that periodicity is, give us updates, then tell us, here's where we're at. And then at the end of a term, show us some sort of progress, and however you measure that. So that way we've got some accountability built in there.
I like it.
Sounds good.
And then also we established and spoke on, if someone requested 10,000, we don't have to give all of that 10,000. We're gonna ask them very plainly if, a smaller amount may produce the same result and/or allow the project to go forward. If it would kill the project, not have full amount, we're not willing to give that full amount, then we may just pass it.
Makes sense.
Other departments of the county have grant forms that we've used as well, and we could modify that for your committee.
That'd be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to establish a packet or create a packet that we can easily review and make sure they meet all the criteria, go through that checklist, maybe, 3 or 4 pages, and then move on from there.
Yep, I was just referencing that as another source for you.
Perfect.
Anything else on that topic?
Nope, that's it.
So the animal shelter, just a summary, I met with the mayor. I'll take the lick on this one to say there probably wasn't as good a communication as there could have been. I would contest that we've been communicating about the animal shelter since we got the bill, a surprise bill of extra $50,000. I think there could have been more communication on that side, that the way we were billing you is gonna change. There's still a question of what is the county getting out of paying 50% for the animal shelter? But I've sat with the mayor and talked about what we expect. We want 50% of the guidance of the animal shelter. We want to be involved on the interview of the new director. The old director was, I think they retired. We need services out at the county. We're gonna look at one ordinance or one modified ordinance. Ted has some good ideas about what that needs to look like so that when they do respond to the county, so for example, you can have free roaming chickens in the county. Probably not a good thing to have on Wiley Street, free roaming chickens, right? So the ordinances have to be a little bit different, but we are 50% of the contributors to that. And then also there was a release of all the volunteers through COVID, and it was never brought back in. We have a whole group of volunteers, including Tammy, the old police chief, that has some good ideas on how that should run and the way it should be structured. So really try to pull the community together, revamp the animal shelter, and before we pay, and this is clear to the mayor, we have to hit those. We have to have 50% involvement. We have to have involvement on picking the director. We have to have some kind of at least three-member board that reviews how that runs. So all those things will be going, and then a clear interlocal agreement in between. So we have plenty of time to work on that. I know Scott, the mayor, is working on that diligently with some of the people on his side. So more to come on what that'll look like. He's actually looking at a third party to come in and do a full assessment of the animal shelter to make sure what we're getting. Because we are by far the highest cost county on the animal shelter in surrounding counties. So we need to take some best practices and learn how to get the service we need, but control the cost.
I just noticed the recommendation that came through was Fulton County, Georgia, and that's Atlanta.
Is that Atlanta? It's a little different size than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's got
It
3 or
was
4.
It was the outside communities of Fulton, not including Atlanta, but still. I mean, you're talking thousands and hundreds of thousands of people.
I did work with Allen County a little bit, talked to them. They have a good way of separating it. They have city and county and reasons why they separated it. Huntington has a okay one. Adams County is a mostly volunteer. Not saying it's good or bad, but there's different. I think we should look at them all and pick the best practice from all of them and make one. But we at least now have a seat at the table. Again, communication could have been better, but part of the reason to push for the reduce in funding was to get a seat at the table, and maybe not have been the right tactic, but it worked. So here we are, and communication lines are open, and it's not quite as bad as maybe portrayed.
Agreed.
Any questions on that, comments? Feel free to reach out to the mayor if you got any additionals. All right, other business monthly reports.
Monthly reports are in here, but
Okay.
we can skip down to vacate property.
A petition to vacate roadway has been filed. The auditor received it, I want to say, 2 days after our last meeting. We have an obligation to hold a hearing within 30 days of the date of receipt of that petition. I would suggest that we would hold the hearing at the November 3rd meeting, commencing at 5 o'clock. The notice would reflect that, and I believe a notice has actually been issued in order to meet the standards. So the first thing we will do at our meeting on November 3rd would be to hear the petition. If that I'm confident it's been shared with you already. We can share that with you again prior to the hearing, but notices are going out to the immediately affected neighbors, and again, publication is being made to everybody else for that hearing. So we'll commence that at 5 p.m., take public comment on that, and then we'll adjourn for a regular meeting following.
On what date?
November 3rd, that'll be our next meeting.
The signs are up.
It doesn't require signs like an area plan commission meeting. It requires delivery of notice to the affected neighbors. In this particular case, there are only 2 or 3. I didn't bring the petition with me, I apologize, but it's a small number of immediately affected neighbors. They receive direct certified mail, and then there's a statutory requirement that notice be published. And again, publication has been made. Last week, we received a request from AEP or one of its vendors for a easement on our property to allow AEP to proceed. I have not had the opportunity to review this with my real estate team. I'd like to be able to do that before we ask the commissioners to vote to approve that, because again, we are the ones who would be giving up the easement. We just want to make sure that all the particularities for a county property are followed, and I can't tell you that those are with this particular form given to us.
I thought the dollar amount was very low. 300, is it?
It always is, so I think the amount needs to be like 3,500.
Yeah, it needs to be negotiated. $350, that's,
Well, and again, this is the first opportunity we've had to see this. I think it came in, Wednesday or Thursday of last week. So we can go back and discuss that with AEP's vendor.
1,000 acres or base.
yeah. Show me 10,000 acre and we'll go buy some property.
We can either do this in a public meeting, or we could suggest a executive session to discuss a negotiation of a price, but that's at your discretion, commissioners.
Yeah, go through it and give us a recommendation.
I would say.
Okay.
Bring it back at our November 3rd meeting.
Will do.
So the salary contract, is that next?
2026 Board County Sheriff salary contract. It's 3% increase over last year based on council's increases for other departments. He has signed it. So it comes to you and then goes to.
It's the same form of agreement that the county's used for a number of years now.
For me, I've worked with Scott or the sheriff on quite a few things related to law enforcement, but also the way he's handled these projects and whatnot. I have no issues with it at all.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second the motion for the sheriff's salary contract.
Any additional conversation on it? No? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
And it's front and back. The back lists all the appointments. Your 2026 board appointments have been, they will be advertised November 6th, November 13th, and November 20th in the paper. I've updated them on your website. I have the applications will be accepted through November 24th. I thought we would bring them to your first December meeting. So,
Get it done early in the year for the first.
Ted, did you want to say anything about the health department?
What would you like me to say? Sorry.
One of the members that are,
Mary Donnelly is
Okay.
not, unless she's.
Yeah,
agreed
thank you
to
for
not-
reminding me. The Health Board, with 2023 revisions, has a number of statutory positions that have to be filled with people related to specific areas of the health field. One of the ongoing requirements is that there be a licensed physician as a member of the board who resides in Wells County. That has always been difficult. Dr. Mary Donnelly has served on the board for a number of years and was kind enough to stay for an additional one-year term as opposed to an official three-year term, as most terms are for the Board of Health. So one of the issues that the commissioners, and that's the obligation of the Board of, it's not necessarily the obligation of the Board of Commissioners, but it is the duty of the Board of Commissioners to have a physician on that health board. There are two new issues that came about in 2023. One is county council may appoint a layperson. One of the people going off the board or concluding a term is the current board chair, Chris Esterling, who is technically a layperson. Mr. Esterling does have a degree and works in the health field, but it's not one of the specific statutory provisions. So county council may reappoint a layperson. As he has been a good member of the health board and continues to chair that board. I would suggest to you that you talk with county council about whether they would appoint him as the lay person.
Wait a minute,
Yes,
though. He's our appointee.
Is,
Oh, I
He
see what you're
was
saying.
appointed last time by the commissioners, who last time were the only authority who could appoint. Since the statute's been changed, the Board of Commissioners may no longer appoint a lay person.
I got you. Okay. Following.
The third category is the largest city within the county may suggest a slate of 3 appointees to the Board of Commissioners, and the Board of Commissioners elects to select and appoint one of those people from the slate. We notified the city of Bluffton last year of their opportunity to appoint. The city of Bluffton did not suggest anyone last year, but that is still something that's out there where the city of Bluffton, particularly the mayor, may provide a slate of 3 potential nominees to the Board of Commissioners to appoint. So right now, there are 2 people going off. One would be Dr. Donnelly. We need to appoint a physician, a licensed physician who resides in the county. And then the second is the current board chair and a layperson, Mr. Esterling.
Our struggle is we don't have a physician that resides in the county right now that's willing to go on the board. Matter of fact, I'll have to check with Julie, but I don't think we have one in the county right now.
Yeah. In the past, we've looked into and discussed with the Indiana Medical Licensing Board whether there are any physicians, and I'm glad to go back and communicate with them again, or of course anybody on the health board may do so as well. But that's one option to look at, not necessarily the Indiana Medical Association, but the licensing board may have some information for us as well, at least for recruiting purposes and to ask.
If you could, that'd be great. Somebody that we might not be thinking about that could be on there.
Right.
yeah, I know somebody, but I know she's not wanting to serve. She was more pediatric for our kids when she came from Riley, but she's since resigned, so.
The Board of Health meets quarterly. They don't meet monthly, they meet quarterly, and then as necessary. So generally, those meetings, they schedule those early in the morning, but depending on the constitution of the board and the needs of a licensed physician to sit, I'm sure that the board would be willing to adjust their normal meeting times.
And it has to be a doctor, it can't be a practitioner.
It,
Can't be a PA.
The statute says licensed physician. There are other specific provisions that allow a nurse practitioner or a PA, physician's assistant, to be appointed, but that is not included in the definition of a licensed physician.
So board appointments, second week of November, or first week of December. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? Nothing? Anything from the audience? No? Holly? Nothing for you, Lisa? Commissioners?
No, sir.
Ted?
No, sir.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
All in favor? Aye. 3-0.